Hi everyone, welcome to my review of Brad Bird's The Incredibles in 2004. So yes, here we are, another animated film to review here. And yes, not an anime today, I'll probably be doing another one next week, possibly. And I've kind of run out of, animes to review, from my collection at the moment, because I will be rewatching a couple that I have, not reviewed yet on the channel, but that won't be yet. And yes, thought I'd change things up, instead of that I'll watch Pixar. So yes, here we are. With the Blu-ray, yes, it's pre-owned. I don't treat my Blu-rays like that. If you can see the coffee stain and everything there, and just tatty, really poor condition here. But yeah, here we are. And yes, of course, I have reviewed the second Incredibles film. I watched that when it came out last year in the cinema, and I loved that film. Just a few flaws for me, really. And yes, I did kind of say, in that review, my thoughts on this. So here we are with, for me, the best Brad Bird film, and he's done Ghost Protocol as well, and Ratatouille. But yes, this film, is definitely for me the best Brad Bird film. I absolutely adore it, and I'll get to my full thoughts in a minute. But yes, of course, this is a very, very popular film. It's very, very extremely critically acclaimed. It got a couple of Oscars actually as well. Named, quite a lot of lists, as one of the best films of the decade, of its year, and just, in terms of animated films, it's just highly regarded, massively. Some people don't like it, but generally it is really, really popular, and even more popular than the sequel, which is definitely, for me, one of the best animated sequels. It's absolutely a brilliant film, but this one for me is far better in every way. Yes. This film is a masterpiece for me, and actually very, very close to my top 100 films. It's one of my favourite animated films of all time. I absolutely adore it, and a true, true masterpiece. Wow, this is amazing. I saw it, bits of it, at school, when I was younger, just after it first came out. As usual, you never get to see the whole film in class. Now, of course, once I saw this film, I kind of just fell in love with it. I really adore this film, and I've watched it a couple of times now, of course, and just an amazing, unique, creative, just an endlessly fun film. Every act of the film is just so entertaining, and it's such a genius satire, and just kind of take on superhero films, and actually just suburban life. I think the writing is immaculate, and just the visuals, everything in the film. Of course, it's about the Parr family. You kind of see a kind of prologue at the beginning, when Mr. Incredible and Elastigirl, meet up for the first time, and basically, of course, Holly Hunter voicing Elastigirl, and she's absolutely brilliant in this film, in the voice acting, and I like her in quite a few things, especially Raised in Arizona, love her in that, and she's just great here. The voice acting is just so good in this film. Craig T. Nelson, also a great actor. Does Mr. Incredible, aka Bob, and you also have Dash in the film, Violet, and of course Jack, who basically, in the second one he's a lot more prominent. That's one of the only things that I think obviously the second one does that this one doesn't. Really, is the stuff with Jack. It expands that, of course, but he is great in this film as well. And it's just this family of superheroes who, told by the government to kind of keep everything secret, and of course you jump ahead 15 years, I think it is, to basically you see Mr. Incredible, at work and stuff, trying to lead a normal life, kind of thing. And this is where it kind of satires, kind of everyday, mundane kind of office work and stuff. And it's hilarious. Absolutely hilarious, this film. It's a really great satire on this stuff, and of course, family life as well, and just a kind of a satire on superheroes as well. Just the way you see Mr. Incredible going about his kind of routine of at the beginning, kind of just taking down criminals and stuff. It's really hilarious, while also just absolutely epic at the same time. This film has got some stunning action, and when I say that, it's an understatement. For me personally, this is definitely some of the best modern action in cinema and just of all time, really. Absolutely stunning, and some people don't credit animation enough, when action scenes and involved and stuff. But wow, this is something else. This is how you do action in a film. It's wonderful. And it is there's enough action in each act as well as kind of balancing out with the drama, the family life. These characters, the main reason, of course, why this is just one of my favourite films, and it's just all these characters, especially the main four sort of characters, 4 or 5 characters, are so good. They're relatable, hilarious, of course. The animation is very, very unique with The Incredibles, in the way it kind of the way the humans look in this film. It's very, very different to anything. Not better than any animation I've seen, but definitely some of the most unique. This world that it creates. And Brad Bird just directs this film to perfection for me. He's a great director. Ghost Protocol, another masterpiece from him. And this film for me is absolutely brilliant. Just the direction is seamless, and it's just so wonderful. The editing is just so good. This film is never boring. It never got a weak act at all. It's just constantly investing, entertaining. In every moment really for me. I personally think it is a perfect film actually. I think the visuals as well are absolutely stunning. The colours that are used in this film are absolutely stunning. It's just, I think some people say the second one's got better animation, but for me, in terms of the overall, the locations and stuff as well, the variety and just the overall the storytelling through the visuals, I think stronger here. As I say, I prefer the locations and stuff in this. The second one's more kind of in the city and different areas, bases and stuff. This has everything really. It has the jungle scenes as well. They arrive on the island, and this film is kind of split up in half. It's kind of the first half is more of the family dramas and stuff, and then of course you've got more action. Kind of infiltrating the base in the second half, and of course this is spoilers review, of course. In the description I said that. But yes, the villain of Syndrome. Of course they do go to the base eventually, and this is when the action is at its best for me, and it's so amazing. The layers in this and just how thrilling it is. So many tense moments, and of course they are kind of lifted by these wonderful moments of action, but also of comedy, and it's kind of the slapstick in there, and the way it's incorporated is genius. The comedy and action together really make for a wonderful experience, and just it's really it's not a film that's tragic or anything, or makes me cry or anything, but it has actually got really, really human touches in this film. This kind of relationships. I think the romance between Elastigirl and Mr. Incredible, it's one of my favourites actually. It's certainly modern cinema. It's so good. It's so charming, this film, and it's always investing. I love this romance. It's just really a great love story, and of course it's used for comedy as well. This film has everything, as I say, and just how cute, of course, Jack is, and I loved, of course, what they've done at the end of him, and it leads on to the sequel, where his powers come into play a lot more. I've also seen the short, with Jack as well, which is okay. It's quite good. But yes, this film, it's just so stunning. I think the villain of Syndrome, I love how he originally is the fan, kind of obsessed fan of Mr. Incredible, and that is just so well built up. And then of course when he does become the villain, you're just kind of like, wow, that's an amazing kind of way that they've done that. The way he grew, and eventually basically copied what he was obsessed with, but in a different way, in the way that he shouldn't have. Of course, he is the villain of the film, and it's so great. He's such a good villain. He's really funny as well. He's not to be taken seriously, really. But yeah, it's just, for me, one of the best villains in an animated film. Of course, the writing throughout is just amazing. The way it satires all these different things, superhero films, just everyday kind of suburban life, and just there's things involving the government as well. It's just got so much layers, this film, in the writing alone. The visuals are just absolutely stunning, as I've said, masterful stuff here. The score as well, by Michael Giacchino, is absolutely brilliant. It's really, really breathtaking, and just the way it's used within the action, especially, really allows the film to flow wonderfully. The action towards the end is just some of the best I've seen, as I say, in certainly modern cinema, and just such a cool film. I love this film in every second. It's just so amazing. Samuel Jackson as well. His character is so good in the film, and I love how the kind of the banter between them. Him and Mr. Incredible at the beginning, and just his role in the film is great. And as I say, the way it kind of is such a great superhero film. For me, this is one of the best superhero films ever made. It's definitely well into the top 10 for me. Yeah, and some people wouldn't say that, but I definitely think it's even better for me than films like well, actually, for me, any of the MCU personally. Although I do love so many of them films, it's actually better for me than the Avengers, which is saying a lot. I do think it's the finer film, and I just love this film. For me, it's perfect and very, very close, as I say, to my top 100 films. It's relatable, it's charming, it's epic in every sense. It's perfectly builds up these characters, so I cared about every single one. The charm of it, and just the kind of the magic feel that this film has. Combine that with the kind of how great the action is and everything involved. In the writing, very very genius ways in which this is written, what it says, and then we have, for me, a full mark film. And yes, shockingly, I do think this is into the plus tiers. Some people do, a lot of people do say it's one of the best films, but for me, it is actually very close to my top 100, and therefore it gets 100% plus tier 2. So yes, for me, obviously a big step up from the second one. Although I do love that film, the rating for this is extremely extremely high. On my list, and wow, I think this is a masterpiece. It's just gotten better every time I've seen this film. It's definitely one of the best Pixar films. The only ones, without spoiling too much on the exact ordering, of course. I think there are two Toy Story films that are better for me in terms of the Pixar films, the true Pixar's. I think actually apart from them, this is the best. So currently my third favourite Pixar film. I like it more than films like Up, and of course Inside Out. Although I'm not going to say what I think of them films. I just think this is one of the best films, just in animation. So yes, a masterpiece in every sense, visually, writing. This film is directed wonderfully by Brad Bird, and just for me, his greatest film, and he's a great director. Made quite a few great films, although he's not made too many. I think he's just a great director, and of course, The Iron Giant as well. That's a film I've not seen for quite a few years, but that was definitely impressive as well. And of course, this is a great, great film, a true masterpiece for me. And I personally feel it's one of the best films ever made. Definitely the century. And it's just such an enjoyable film for me. I love this film in every sense. As I say, just as a superhero film, and just in every area really, it's just absolutely perfect. And yes, if you've not seen the film, highly recommend it, of course. This is just a great, great film. It's just perfect for me, and the characters, as I say, the way this film is made, the animation itself is I do generally prefer more traditional animation, but this is great stuff here, and it retains the sense of charm that a lot of animated films have. While also, of course, it's basically the kind of modern look that the film has does not diminish it. In terms of my investment, I do prefer at its best traditional animation, but this is really really stunning. This is genius filmmaking, and one of my favourite films of all time. So yes, thanks for watching my review.